My name is Marta, and in this Red Gaming Tech video I'm here with the latest from the gaming and the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. So what do I have for you today? Well, to kick things off, there's something juicy as PUBG is taking Epic Games to court in South Korea over alleged copyright infringement. Then we're going to move over to Bethesda, what they're teasing, and Obsidian's response to that tease. Then we're going to complain a little bit about the latest Star Citizen ship pack. Then we're going to move over to a couple of tech pieces to finish things off, as we have the Athlon 200GE and Athlon Pro 200GE from AMD, and the Apple supplier Pegatron are going to be manufacturing an ARM-powered notebook. But as I said, we're going to kick things off with PUBG. So essentially what's happening here is PUBG Corp is taking Epic Games to court in South Korea, again over accusations that Epic copied intellectual property in order to create the Battle Royale mode in Fortnite itself. Now, PUBG Corp did issue a brief statement to Bloomberg News saying, quote, "This is a measure to protect our copyrights." Now, of course, this isn't the first time that PUBG Corp has raised the accusatory finger towards Epic Games for allegedly copying its designs from PUBG in, of course, Fortnite Battle Royale, but to my knowledge at least, this is the first time they've actually pursued actual legal action. Now, looking at the source article for this, which is for the Korea Times, which of course will be linked in the description below this video, the core of the complaint is coming down to the weapon designs as well as user interface. That's the crux of what PUBG Corp is accusing Epic of copying. Now, obviously, the two games have similarities. You know, they both have the same sort of core gameplay loop, I guess you could say, in where, you know, you're dropped into a map, 100 people, and the last person or last team standing wins. That's the basic premise. Kind of the basic premise of the film and the book Battle Royale. Just kind of want to throw that out there. But obviously there are a lot of differences as well. Obviously the most obvious is the building mechanics which are present and a core mechanic of Fortnite itself, because that is just not part of PUBG. There is not any building at the moment being incorporated into PUBG. In terms of weapon designs though, that argument, I don't even see how they can make that argument. Obviously I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert on copyright law, especially not Korean copyright laws. Obviously US copyright law kind of, you know, applies in certain ways. I do know a little bit about that, of course, but Korean, not so much. However, even outside of that, they don't really share any similarities in designs. They both have grenades, assault rifles, shotguns, but so does Doom and Wolfenstein and every game with guns in it ever since the dawn of time. So I don't really see their logic there, to be honest. Maybe they're saying, oh, they've got similar weapons, but again, you would find there's similar suite of weapons in pretty much every shooter in existence, so not really seeing that, to be honest with you. And also taking a critical look at the UI, you know, what actual similarities do we have here? Well, they both have the compass ticker across the top, of course. They both had a map screen, obviously on PUBG. It is in the lower right, whereas it is in the top right in Fortnite, and a similar difference between the placement of the team names and all that sort of thing. Now, yes, again, there are similarities here, but enough to argue that it's copyright infringement. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, so it's hard to say, but I would also make the argument that it's not like it's a particularly unique UI that either of them are using, so there's undoubtedly been a game before PUBG that has had a similar UI, so unless they want to claim that they're the first persons to do this, I'm not really sure how they can make this argument, to be honest. Now, obviously, why they're doing this, you know, maybe they genuinely feel that, you know, Fortnite has copied them and they're trying to their best with what ground they do have to pursue that in a legal way. Obviously that is their right to do so, but I don't predict this going very far at all. Of course I could be completely wrong, and obviously they're PUBG Corp, of course, using Unreal Engine to make their game, so if Epic really wanted to play hardball, they could. They've done it in the past. You might recall 2 Human. Obviously, things were different back then in terms of the licensing and how you actually had to purchase Unreal Engine and all that sort of stuff. It's not the same situation, but Epic have shown that in the past they're not afraid to play hardball with those that they feel have, you know, taken them to court unnecessarily. But even if they don't go to that length, you know, they could countersue, you know, for waste of time, money, all that sort of thing. And even if they don't, you know, play hardball way, you know, being like, okay, well, you can't use our engine anymore or whatever, I don't think it's going to go well for PUBG Corp. But of course, that is purely my speculation based on what I've seen. I have played Fortnite, haven't played it in ages, to be quite frank with you, but I've never played PUBG just because it personally doesn't appeal to me. The graphic style and how the gameplay is actually done isn't really my thing. And obviously Fortnite is going from strength to strength and PUBG kind of isn't. So it's hard to say why they're doing this. I think a lot of you are probably thinking the same thing I am, but I don't want to point the finger. But it's going to be interesting to see where exactly this goes. But my prediction is it's not going to go well for PUBG Corp, but of course I could be completely wrong. The world often does surprise me, and always in pleasant ways. So let's move on to Bethesda, shall we? So you have undoubtedly seen the tease from Bethesda on their Twitter. And if you've somehow missed it, it is basically a image of the Fallout logo, please stand by, or I shouldn't say logo, but infamous screen, should I say, and then the hashtag please stand by. And there is on their Twitch, a live stream of the Pip-Boy standing in front of a TV screen saying the same please stand by message. So obviously this has sparked speculation as to what this could be. Obviously it could be a new Fallout game. It could be a tease for a Fallout 3 remake, possibly. As of course, you may recall that it's the 10th anniversary of Fallout 3 on October 28th. Now that seems more likely to me than Fallout 5 being announced so soon. I would expect a Elder Scrolls 6 announcement before we get another Fallout announcement, but of course I could be completely and utterly wrong. So naturally there's a ton of speculation as to what this could be. There's probably some hidden clues in that image yourself, so please feel free to go to Twitter, have a look-see and see what you think. But I would say the main likelihoods are a Fallout 3 remake or something to do with Fallout 3 or Fallout 5. What we do know for sure, however, is that it's nothing to do with Obsidian. Now, I know many people have hoped that they would turn their hands to Fallout once more, because to many people, New Vegas was one of the best in the series. But unfortunately, whatever it is, it's not them, because they tweeted, quote, "How do you let someone down easily? Asking for a friend. Hashtag it's not us." So whatever it is that Bethesda is teasing, unfortunately, Obsidian are not working on it. Not really surprising, given that they launched Pillars of Eternity 2 this month, but they have confirmed that whatever it is, it's not them. So what do you think it's going to be? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Of course, there are undoubtedly going to be things that could come out of left field, like it could be, a Fallout MMO or a card game, for all I know. Wouldn't put it past Bethesda to do a Fallout card game, actually. But what's most likely going to happen is we'll see an E3 full reveal and then a tease prior to that. But of course, I could be completely wrong. So let's crack on as we are pressing a little bit for time. And let's move on to Star Citizen. So it's not really a secret at this point that Star Citizen has raked in a metric ton of cash. Even saying that seems like a massive understatement, and it continues to do so. And now Cloud Imperium has announced a Legatus Pack, which costs, embrace yourself, $27,000, which is more than some people make in a year, which is just crazy. And what does this insane pack get you, I hear you ask? 117 ships and 163 extras. But no, there's more, because to even see the product page, unless you want to get on the horn to customer services, that is, you need to spend $1,000 on game content before you can even see the product page for this. That's crazy, to be honest. And this is obviously how Star Citizen has racked up more than $200 million since it began crowdfunding in 2012. And obviously it hasn't even come out in beta yet. So, yeah, I mean, you know me, I rant about microtransactions and bad practices in the industry till I'm blue in the face, and probably still after, to be honest with you, because that's just how stubborn I am sometimes. But this just seems at a completely different level. Like, they're not forcing anyone, sure, but $27,000? Are you actually sure? Like, really? Really? Like, I can't even fathom the thinking behind this. I just have to kind of be gobsmacked that this is a thing that exists, and someone out there who's loaded enough is probably going to buy it. So, let's move on to our final tech pieces for today, and that is, the first one at least, AMD Athlon 200GE. So what do we have here? Well, basically we have the finishing touches being put on the 200GE Athlon and the Athlon Pro 200GE socket AM4 APUs, which is most likely going to be AMD's rebuttal to what's going on with Pentium Gold. Now, both chips have a pretty damn tiny TDP of 35 watts and are based on the Raven Ridge 14nm silicon and have a 2-core 4-thread CPU based on the Zen architecture, both of them clocked at 3.2 GHz. Now you might have picked up the word APU there, and it does feature, that being the Pro, so both of them do, excuse me, do feature a Radeon Vega integrated graphics, but it is going to be obviously not up to snuff with the mainline Raven Ridge APUs. But for those of you wondering what sets the Pro apart from its non-Pro sibling is SEV, which you may recall is also the thing that separated Ryzen Pro from its little brothers as well. So let's move on to our final topic, which is Pegatron. So what we have here is rumours through the supply chain and sources close to that supply chain that Pegatron are going to be manufacturing new MacBook models based on ARM chipsets. Now, of course, with any rumour, this is very much counter to it being wrong, as there's also other sources that say, actually, it's a low-cost iPhone 9 with an LCD display rather than an ARM-based Mac prototype. But the model name for it is N84, and according to some sources close to DigiTimes, again, Pegatron is going to be manufacturing N84, and if it is true, does mean that Apple is readying to shift to ARM64 from x86. So at the moment, speculation seems to be within the industry that it's going to be an ARM-powered notebook that's going to have touchscreen and the usual Apple fancy doodahs to go along with it. But of course, again, there are counter-rumours to this, and there are also people saying, why would they go with ARM when they could go with AMD instead? So do take everything here with a pinch of salt, but at least the rumour through the grapevine is there's going to be an ARM-powered notebook from Pegatron, and that is going to be Apple's stars. Of course, as I said in the introduction to this video, Pegatron are Apple's supplier. So this is going to be a new notebook, which is going to be obviously a MacBook of some description that may make use of ARM in some way. So that's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, do remember to like and subscribe if you have enjoyed. It really does help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time.